Welcome to Daytona, a track known for high speeds and left turns. This time we take things to the road course known for endurance racing and exciting battles. This time, in vintage cars that are sure to take any driver's breath away, you can catch every lap of the action right here on the Global Sim Racing channel. I am Chad Irvine, and in the booth with me is Ryan Walker. Our director is legendary Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Drafting is the key to success here at Daytona. Let's learn more about the circuit. Let's take a look at this week's track guide.
Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway. While many oval fans associate this Central Florida track with mainly NASCAR, the road course has gained just as much worldwide fame thanks to it hosting motorcycles and sports cars for decades. In fact, the flagship road race, the 24 Hours of Daytona, has become a major draw for drivers of all disciplines, many eager to have a go at endurance racing. The stats make this place sound relatively simple, with 12 corners on the regular road circuit and 14 on the NASCAR version, both spread amongst 3.5 miles. Indeed, a majority of the lap is spent on the oval portion, where you fly along the notoriously steep banking. But it's easy to underestimate the challenge presented to the drivers. The infield portion begins with the scary kinked entry of Turn 1. Not only is it the fastest part of the track, but the transition from the banking to the flat tends to upset the car as you slow it down. There's also the bus stop chicane on the backstretch. Added in the 80s, this is a tricky piece of circuit that punishes a poor exit severely, with it leading back into the latter half of the oval. As you'd expect, the long periods on throttle mean that drafting tends to play a factor in the racing. It also means passing isn't usually too great of an issue if you have the pace to catch someone. The more difficult thing is managing to gap your opponent so that they don't ride in your slipstream once you get by. With half a century of endurance racing collected among these walls, it's not unfair to say that road racers have just as much claim to call Daytona home. Fans who come to watch certainly won't be disappointed by the high speeds and fantastic thrills it invariably provides each year.
It's a beautiful day here in sunny Florida for the Grand Prix Legends, and we are set for a fantastic show here. Ryan, we saw a great race last week at the Monza Combined layout, and we're expecting to see some great racing here at Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. Daytona, I love this track. It's one of the best tracks around when it comes to road racing and oval racing. This amazing track is 3.56 miles in length for 5.729 kilometers, if you prefer to use that. Has 12 turns, like I mentioned. We'll be using the road layout, and NASCAR has visited here in the past, especially recently. They used the new NASCAR chicane before the home straight last year in real life, which produced great racing, and it's also hosted the Daytona 24. And motorbike racing and some club racing as well. And today we'll be host to round 2 of the Grand Prix Legends series. And the best passing opportunities are going to be into Turn 1 and also down into that bus stop chicane on the back straight. But the danger zones, I think, are going to be the International Horseshoe. So plenty of interesting corners, and with a good turnout today, I think this race should be an absolute stormer.
Yeah, we've got 34 cars here today, a very similar number to what we saw last week. But part of this series that we'd like to talk about, it's still early in the season, but we do have a couple of championships going on. We'll start over in the F1 championship, where Rob Olenek with 50 points after last week's win. He's followed right behind by Topi Kortniemi with just 5 points shy of him. Mick Claridge with a incredible charge through the field after a spin last week to finish third. Oveid Trengarade with 13 points off the lead, followed by Antti Kernen, 16 points back. So such an early start to the season, but Rob Olenek already looking to grow his points lead coming into week number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And the F2 championship at the moment, it's really close, and it's currently being led by Germany's André Schumacher, with Finland's Pekka Risto only 6 points back, with Andrew Eng rounding out the top 10, with another Finnish driver, Heikki Koivisto, in 4th, and rounding out the top 5 is Marco Ravioli. So the F2 Championship still all to play for as we at the start of the season, and it should be an interesting battle for that championship.
And we also do have the Nations Cup as well. That was hotly contested between the United States and the United Kingdom last season, but Finland sneaking up in there as well for the moment. United States on top with 50 points, then 5 back is Finland. Then the UK, Norway, and Germany wrapping up the top 5 there in the Nations Cup. So drivers going through some qualifying right now, and if you look on track, there is just an entire train of cars just trying to use the slipstream to their advantage and try to get as much done in terms of getting as much speed on track as possible. 34 cars in today's race, and I mean, we're just having an exciting battle here today. Let's take a look at today's race details. This is, of course, round 2 of 12 with a 20-lap standing start. Open setup as well. There are some penalties that you get after accumulating incident points that you see on your screen there. And because this is an official race, you do not get a backup car if something goes wrong like we saw early last week.
Yep, absolutely not. As qualifying is just taking place at the moment, and that's the early stages of qualifying. It's currently being led by Rob Allnick from Topi Korteniemi in second, and Ovi Tringray rounding out the top 3.
Yeah, and some very familiar names there at the top of the charts right now. Olenek, Korteniemi, and Tringray, as well as Michel Dunan, currently sitting in the 5th position. 34 cars set to take to the grid today. And that's a very solid number. Here is a look at Mick Claridge, who last week just put on an absolute clinic, as we talked about, working his way through the field. And he comes in with a 138.405 for his lap. And that is good enough to put him 3rd for the moment.
Yeah, a good lap from Mick as watching Tris Marikami coming through the bus stops again now, and looks to be on a decent lap at the moment as he's coming around the banking now, heading onto the home straight. And I think it's judging by his lap, he should be probably round about mid-pack, round about the top 10.
And he comes across the stripe there, 140.381. So he is a couple of seconds off the lead pack. Current lead time from Rob Olenek is 138.152. There you see Rob Olenek coming to the end of his run, 132. So he does improve on his second lap. And here comes Emmanuel Pereira to wrap up his qualifying run across the stripe, and that's 140.679. So that puts him currently in 12th place.
Yep, looking at Roland Wallback now coming up to the line, and it should be, looks like he'll improve his lap. Where does it put him? That'll put him into the 20th.
So a lot of guys not finding the speed that some of these faster cars are. 139s, 140s for most of the field, it seems. Rob Olenek, Topi Korteniemi, and Mick Claridge all just pulling away right now. They're the only drivers there down in the 138s. There's Mick Claridge working his way around the track. I believe he has turned all of his qualifying laps, so he is just getting some extra practice in. And it's very similar to what we saw last week at Monza, where you're just wide open throttle for so much of your lap. And it definitely kind of takes its toll on you just a little bit, and on the car as well. Just having such high speeds, it really adds that danger factor, both through the horseshoes as well as that chicane on the backstretch.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you're in a big pack as well, and they head around the banking as well. It can be a bit tricky with these cars as well, as I found out during the week when I did some offline laps. It can be tricky, and with these cars as well, not having any downforce like you'd get in maybe GT cars or modern open wheel cars, you've got to be careful with this car and be really smooth.
On board now with Eugenio Massa. Massa, I believe, has not turned a lap yet in qualifying, so he's going to come across the line with a 143. And a lot of these guys just really keeping their foot in it throughout, as Lance Olsen goes to a 143.562. And your last qualifier on track at the moment, Andrew Ang here. First lap was a 143.562. Coming around across the stripe for the second time. Does not improve. He still sits 24th on the grid. And that wraps up qualifying here from Daytona, and Rob Olenek takes the pole with a 138.132, followed by Toby Courtney and Mick Claridge, the top three, with Bill Tyler on the outside of row number 2. Then Ove Trengate and Michel Dudanon wrapping up the third row. Then it's Colin Bentley and Gary Thiel, and then Jan Lindman and John Olsen wrapping up the top 10.
Yep, starting at 11th is Laos Dawson with Chris Maricami alongside with him in 12th. Pekka Risto in 13th with Emmanuel Pereira in 14th and Donald Peake in 15th. Good to see Donald out today. 16th is Robert Plumley, 17th Hideki Gorivisto, Gwen Delanold 18th, Michael Greenziger in 19th, and Roland Wallbank rounding out the top 20.
And further back, 21st is Andre Bruno, Douglas Nelson, then Randy Ho and Andrew Ang, 23rd, 24th. 25th is Kyle Graham, and Brian Schaumer, Gary Anderson. 28th, Dave Cohen, and then 29th, Timo Paha, and 30th is Jerry McAvery.
Yep, and the rest of the grid is Eugenio Massa, 32nd is Robert Reynolds, Benoit Langevin, 34th is Xavier Belib.
And you see drivers starting to take to the grid. It is a standing start here in the Grand Prix Legends, and I'm not sure how the cars are just kind of sitting there on the banking like that. If it was in the corners, you'd just see them start sliding down the banking, because it can be very intense there in the corners with the high banks here at Daytona that allow for such high-speed racing. Just waiting on a couple more drivers here to join in, and you'll see the drivers take through the front stretch here, through the trial, but immediately hook a left-hand turn down into the infield section. Turn 1 is pretty difficult to get your braking markers right, but the lights are on and we are set to go. Green flag is out, and an incredible start there from Topi Courtniemi. Thought about going to the outside, and things are further back, stacking up just a little bit. Chris Murakami looking to make up some spots early. We had a spin from Emmanuel Pereira, does not seem to make contact, but he goes around and he's going to lose a ton of positions. Oh, a couple other cars off as well. Lost Olsen was involved in some contact. He had to take a tow back to the pits. Up at the front of the field, though, is still Rob Olenek. Rob Olenek doing his best to just hold on to the lead that he started with Topi Courtniemi and Mick Claridge right behind him as well.
Yeah, it's been a relatively clean start up at the front, and the top three at the moment. It looks like they're starting to pull away from the rest of the field by the looks of it, and currently it's still all leading from Courtniemi and Claridge at the moment, and Bill Tyler in fourth, but he's fallen back slightly. Not Bill Tyler, it's Ove Trengate, sorry.
Yeah, it's a very similar scene to what we saw last week, where these front 3 guys really just started to pull away early. They did allow some of the cars behind them to draft back up to them. But where you're so wide open here, the draft is so strong in these cars that it definitely makes for an interesting race and some interesting drafting battles as we get set to conclude lap number 1 of 20 here. And Grisinger off further back. Gary McAvery is off through that bus stop chicane as well. Did not seem to make contact, just lost the back end under braking. He keeps things rolling in the right direction. Your top 3, though, still Olenek, Courtniemi, and Claridge at the line.
Yep, as they head for turn 1 now, and I think we could be in for a good battle here up at the front, but at the moment, Ove Trengate lost the position after getting sideways through the bus stop chicane, so it's allowed Bill Tyler to retake that 4th position. But at the moment, it's still these 3 guys rather, heading through the tank, and I think Mick Claridge might just be sitting there watching what these guys are going to do at the moment.
And Brian Schomer has spun early just a moment ago. No contact, but he's back in the pits now, it seems. On board with Mick Claridge. and he is just right there into this pack of 3 cars, starting to pull away. They've got about 3 seconds over 4th place Bill Tyler. We see guys just all over this track losing control of their cars both left and right. It's a very dangerous track. Man, these front 3 making it look easy. This is on board with your leader, Rob Olenek. And he is, you see Topi, as they come down into the braking zone here, just catches right back up at the high-speed, high draft sections. Man, these guys are absolutely flying out there.
Yeah, they absolutely are. As it looks like Topi's got a run on Rob as they head round the bank in, and it looks like Topi's trying to go around the outside. Can he hold that momentum? Yeah, it looks like he's going to be able to hold it as they head down to turn 1. It's going to be a game of who breaks later.
And it's a very dangerous thing to do, trying to brake later than usual in that corner. If you're just off just a little bit, you can completely lose control of the car, lose much more time than you would just by hitting your marks and kind of taking it easy there. But you see the gap that those 3 have further to the guys that in the background. They've got a 4-second gap now or so, all the way back to Ove Trengrade, who has gotten back around Tyler.
And it looks like Pekka Rista's had an incident.
Yeah, just as we were talking about losing it in turn 1, unfortunately has to wait for all the guys to come back around. This is, you'll see him coming off the corner here, and it's just under braking into turn 1. He's battling, and just unfortunately, you know, he's gonna miss his braking point just a little bit, and the back end's gonna step around on him to just hit right here. Looks like he didn't collect the barrier too hard, but he did lose a ton of time, basically letting the entire field get around him before safely rejoining the track.
Yeah, it's such an easy mistake to make in turn 1 just because of there's a bump under braking. But back up at the front, this battle is for the lead is still going on at the moment, and there's a ride on board with Rob on it. You can see right in the background there, Topi Contanemi and Mick Claridge as well.
Looks like we have had our first retirement. Brian Schomer retiring from the race after an incident earlier on. These guys 3 wide across the stripe. Wow, what a move there. Very defensive from Rob Olenek.
Yeah, absolutely. As Olenek goes to the inside line to try and defend. And it looks like it's the thing with Mick Claridge as well, as Topi Contanemi puts in the fastest lap of the race so far. That's the thing with Mick Claridge. Once he gets in the zone, it's just so difficult to stop him.
Yeah, and he's very aggressive on the inside of turn number 1. Olenek is just getting very close to the tire barrier that's on the inside wall. But man, they going through this international horseshoe under braking, and they are just flying out there right now here at Daytona.
They absolutely are, and yeah, that's the thing with these guys as well, is Mick Claridge closes right up under braking and just about runs into the back of Rob Olenek. So Mick Claridge gets sideways heading onto the NASCAR banking, and that's the thing with Mick Claridge as well. He's really quick and he's really good on the brakes as well.
Yeah, you'll see drivers are coming up onto the banking, arcing all the way out to the outside wall and coming back down, just trying to keep every bit of momentum that they can up. And here they come down the backstretch into the chicane. And this is where things can get very difficult. We've seen several drivers already lose control of their racecraft here.
Yep, absolutely. And it looks like looking back at Michel Dunion as well. He's currently in 7th place at the moment, so not used to seeing Michel this far. Well, not really far back, but not in this position anyway, because he's normally up at the front challenging for wins and podiums. But is back up at the front, Mick and Topi are going at it again into turn 1.
And new fastest lap of the race from Robbo. That was a 1:38.658. And he is just doing everything he can to keep the rest of the field at bay. The gap from 3rd to 4th is now just about 5 seconds as they work their way through the kink and now go through the International Horseshoe. Oh, huge crash from Kyle Graham. Looks like he's tumbling several times, and my goodness, we'll have to take a look back at what happened here, because I just saw a car just tumbling down the front straightaway.
Looking at the replay, it looks like turn 1, and he got nuts from behind, and I don't know if that was a case of both cars being too close, or maybe
Yeah,
it was Dave going as well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see tumbling several times. Hopefully not racing in VR, because that's when things can really get to you just a little bit. But unfortunate for contact there, and Cohen seems to be unscathed, even though he is, just trying to kind of shake the car down right now and make sure everything's okay with it. So back up front, this is the battle between Claridge and Robbo, and man, Rob just doing everything he can to keep him at bay. But the draft is just so strong. You really need everybody else to make mistakes for you to be able to pull away here.
Yeah, so there's a go through wide across the line. Oh,
wow,
oh.
That's an incredible power move there from Topi Courtniemi.
Oh, I had to close my eyes there when I watched that, but that was a very brave move, that's for sure.
There probably wasn't more than maybe half a meter on either side of that car for him to force that move to happen. But man, these guys are very racy, and they have raced each other long enough. They are very trusting of each other and very comfortable racing around everybody else at the moment. But Topi Courtniemi right now, it's got about a 4 or 5 car length back to Robbo and Mick Claridge.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a I would probably have to say that was a move of the race so far, or even move of the season so far, because that was it took some guts. But Topi's pulling away ever so slightly, and Mick Claridge is right behind Rob Allenick, and I think he's best up. He might try and make a move into the bus stop chicane, or if he doesn't try there, I think he'll try heading across the home straight, or the finish line, sorry.
And from talking to some of these drivers after last week's race, the drafting in this car is good to about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and it definitely is going to be helpful for these guys to catch right back up to Topi Courtniemi, who took the lead.
Yep, absolutely. As they heading around the bank and now heading to the start finish line, and I think we could be in for another three wide moment in just a few moments time. But yeah, Mick Claridge's got the run in Topi, Robbo, sorry, and basically Topi's just a sitting duck.
They were thinking about going 3 wide once again there, but Rob just around the outside powers his way back to the front, and Mick Claridge, oh wow, he lost the back end, almost saved it, and then lost it once again. So he's going to lose a bunch of time to those first 2 guys, but he's only going to lose 1 spot there. Let's take a look at the replay once again as they go across the start-finish line here into turn number 1.
Yeah, I think Mick might have just got caught out by Rob under braking into turn 1 and had to take a avoiding action and not to run into the back of him. So good awareness from Mick, but that was just unlucky.
Mick did end up losing that 4th spot to Ove Chengre. This is a little further back. This is the battle for the 8th position between Gary Till and Colin Bentley. They're about 0.5 second between them. You'll expect to see as they come through this left hand here back up onto the oval section. You'll expect to see that draft come into play once again and just have a huge slingshot move going into the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, so it was someone's off in the infield there, but I never had a chance to see who it was. But rider on, that was Michel Dunillon.
And that was from 6th position. He has taken it back to the pits. And Ove Trengerade is off track. He lost it in the bus stop chicane, but just have to see. There were skid marks all around the against the wall there, so he definitely lost it coming up onto the oval section. We'll have to see where it happened. Got through the hairpin just fine. Oh, the transition onto the banking and just noses it into the wall. A couple of spins, but fortunately does not collect any other race cars.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate as it's just again one of those things that it's easy to do around here, just because these cars just don't have any downforce at all when it's all about throttle control. And I think Michel might have just put too much power down, heading onto the banking.
Very interesting battle forming up here. 4 cars, including looks like Pecoristo is in there as well as Pereira, Plumley, and Covizzo. Man, these guys just right on each other's rears, and just trying to make moves at any opportunity. But as you mentioned earlier, just holding on for dear life. If you're the front car in this train, you're just a sitting duck for everybody else to get back around you.
Yeah, you absolutely are. It's just it's one of those things that it's like you mentioned there as well. It's so hard to pull away around here. As in the background there, Emmanuel Pereira, and it looks like Laos Dawson. They thought they had contact for a second there, but yeah, they came close to having contact anyway.
Yeah, and you can see the gap there. As they come around onto the backstretch, they are just going to close right up, and Plumlee just all over the back bumper. We've seen a couple of guys lose control through that bus stop chicane throughout this race, and really it's the second part coming back to the right that really seems to upset the car. Just kind of wants the back end to step out. And as you'll notice, this is the what's known as the legacy version of the Daytona road course. It's the older scan, and it has not been paved in quite some time. That's why you see so many bumps trying to upset these cars all throughout especially the banked section of this track. Man, it is something that makes it very interesting. Oh, almost some contact there between Plumlee and Pereira. Man, these guys fighting very hard in this pack.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and yeah, it's good to see Robert back on track as well. I don't think he took part in race one or round one, rather. So it's good to see him on track. But looking at Pecorista at the moment, heading through the fast kink, and doing well to keep ahead of Robert Plumlee and Emmanuel Pereira as well.
Top two, by the way, still Rabo and Topi Korniemi. They have pulled out a 6-second lead over Mick Claridge, currently running third. And Claridge does have a decent buffer back to Tringray, but these front two still fighting very hard during all throughout this, all across this track. Just once you give a position, you take a position. And man, it's definitely some interesting battle that they have formed out throughout this race. And this is a replay of Chris Murakami going through, I believe, the bus stop chicane. Yeah, side by side on entry, and just lost the back end. And is there contact? No, able to keep it out of everybody else's way. Very skillful driving there, just to from everybody, both from the drivers that from Murakami himself for getting out of everybody's way, and for everybody else not to have hit him.
Yeah, that was a good car control and good awareness as well, and but back up at the front as well. Looking at the leaders, Olenek and Korteniemi, and these two have pretty much been together since the start of the race. And I think if I was Topi, I would maybe just stay behind and plan what you're going to do in the closing stages of this race, and find out where you're stronger than Rob, and find out where Rob's stronger than him. And I think Topi is just maybe doing that at the moment.
Yeah, right now, sun peeking up from behind some clouds. It's partly cloudy. Track temperature right now 69 degrees, but the big thing is there's a huge crosswind as you're coming down this back straightaway. It's going to be coming basically over your right shoulder across the face of the car. So it's basically just a right to left across the track, straight towards the start-finish line. So that wind is definitely going to be pushing these cars around this track, making it even all the more as the bumps might not be enough of a challenge for these guys.
Yep, as they come across to the start finish line now, heading down to turn one, and Ulrich still leading at the moment. And yeah, this is probably the trickiest corner to get right with this car, because you're having to brake kind of brake while you're turning at the same time.
And this is that battle once again for the 8th position there. That's Olsen leading both Murakami and Risto and Pereira, with Plumlee there as well. These four cars with about a second between the four of them, and you can see that's Plumlee trying to get around Pereira, using the draft to his advantage. Can he get him under braking? It doesn't look like he's quite there at the moment. And Risto with a very interesting line through there. You see him sweeping all the way out across the white line on the right side of the track, taking it very wide to get that huge launch through the little S section going into the International Horseshoe. It just makes it a little, takes the line a little bit differently, maybe a different thought process behind keeping his momentum up compared to some of these other guys that want the shorter radius of the turn. But man, these guys, they have not given up this battle as Carrera almost loses it right there in this group of cars. Well, moments ago, John Olsen had himself a moment coming back up onto the banking. We'll have to see, taking a look here at the replay, up just even before getting to the banking. Yeah, the back end just steps out and loses the one position and a ton of time, but fortunately for him, no contact. The only harm there is going to be to his pride.
Yep, and the battle of Visto is still going on at the moment, and right behind him, he's got basically got a couple of drivers behind him with Hideki Koivisto and Manuel Pereira as well. They're trying to gain some spots and maybe try and make a move.
As they come past the pit entry, down across the stripe, and Koivisto doing a great job kind of recovering from his spin we saw just a couple moments ago, trying to make up positions all over this track. And man, these guys just battling into turn number one.
Yep, absolutely. As it looks like, it looks like back up at the front, they might be having a lead change, because Topi Cortinemi is all over the back of Roll on it now, and he's looking a lot more racy than he was before.
Yeah, we're across halfway here. 9 laps coming to 8 next time by the stripe, but Olenek just absolutely flying, led every lap so far. Cortinemi, though, wants to change that as he takes the lead going through the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, great move by him, and yeah, I think Top is realising now he's got to try and make moves right now or try and stay in contact as well, because I think this is going to be his best opportunity to try and take his first win in this series.
And at that time at the stripe, it was Cortinemi, so able to get his first lap led, and man, he is just absolutely flying out there. These guys really putting on a show, and you see there on your screen, Ove Tringrade sets the fastest lap of the race, and he is in a battle right now with Mick Claridge for the 3rd position.
Yeah, absolutely. The back marker gets out of the way beautifully, and Ove Tringrade now starting to put the hammer down and put Mick under some serious pressure, and I think it's been a bit of a it's been a decent start for Mick, but I think he might have wanted to take a win in round 1 as he ride on board with Tringrade at the moment, and I think Ove Tringrade, you know how much he likes to throw that car around, and it appears that he's doing it again.
Yeah, and something I'm noticing as well, not only has these two cars caught up to each other, there was about 1.5 seconds between them a couple of laps ago, but they've also taken 2 seconds off the gap up to Cortinemi and Olenek. So that gap's gone from 6 seconds to 4.5, and these guys just, everybody on track still battling for position. You see the intervals there, with about 4.3 from 2nd to 3rd, but Ove Tringrade really wants to get that 3rd spot and finish up on the podium here in Daytona.
Yep, and I think at the moment with this early stage of the season, I think Mick will probably be happy with just a podium finish, and just to keep himself from that championship fight. And as he come up to turn 1 now, Tringrade is not close enough, surprisingly, to make a move, but it seems to be on the braking that Tringrade seems to close up ever so slightly.
Yeah, there's a couple of car lengths between them. You can see the gap there, and it just grows and shrinks, and it really seems like Tringrade's car really favors some of the slower corners, but Tringrade seems to get the better launch every time. And this is Hideki Koivisto involved in some contact in turn number 1. We'll have to see if the car is okay. I think that it might have been Risto that was involved in the contact with him. I have to check the replay and make sure that that is the case. We see him just turning into turn number 1 and just not sure if he didn't know that Risto was there or what caused that contact, but that was unfortunate there for Hideki.
Yeah, it was. It looks like both of them just tried to looked like both of them tried to go for the same line, but Visto again losing another position to Robert Plumley.
He's got to. This is the battle between Bentley and Teal, and they are about 26 seconds off the leaders, but they are not letting each other out of their sights. Man, they've been fighting for quite a while. We've looked at this battle 3 or 4 times. This is now the battle for 6th position. Just watch the suspension of these cars, all the travel in them as they just bounce throughout the corners. As I mentioned, this is a track that has not been paved in quite some time. This was before the repave, about a decade ago now. Man, these guys fighting very hard amongst each other as they go through turn number 1. A little tire smoke there out of the 8 of Teal. Man, they're just having a blast out there and making it look easy. I don't think that I could keep my composure on a track like this with such fierce competition.
Yeah, me neither. It's there's proof that the amount of talent in the season with this car as well is just unbelievable. And but back up at the front as well, McLaren and Uwe Trengrade are still going at it for third place, and it looks like Uwe's got the run, and Claris tries to use a slipstream of that back marker on the bank end just to try and stay ahead. But I think Uwe can try and get a good exit on the exit of the bus stop. I think he could get a run into turn 1.
Olenek has gotten around Courtney Emmy as well. He's got about a 0.6 of a second lead, but man, the gap from Topi back to Claire just shrank by another couple of tenths. It's now down to just under 4 seconds, but Trengrade really wants to get this 3rd spot from Claridge.
Yep, as they head into turn 1 now, and again, Trengrade not close enough to make a move, and Claridge doing it enough just to stay ahead. And it's these two have always went at it in the past, and it's always produced great battles. And at the moment, it seems to be that they're close, but trying to make a move is just proven difficult.
Looks like Lost Olsen has been off track, but no contact, so he is pointed in the right direction once again and back rolling. But he had a moment. He is certainly 2 laps down. A couple of retirements from today's race, including Michel Dudenon, Grinsger, Graham, Wallbank, Ho, Schomer, and a couple other drivers, including Jan Lehman, unfortunately out of this one early in the race as we come to 5 laps to go here at Daytona.
And Claridge and Trengrade close up to a back marker, and they get by. Claridge seems to eke out a bit of a gap after that, but head down to the bus stop. Trengrade closes up on the braking, and then it looks like Trengrade gets a little bit sideways and through the grass. He's really throwing that car around, trying to get around Mick Claridge. Taking a look on board with Trengrade here. You can just watch it on entry. The back end starts to come around. He saves it going to the left, and then cuts the grass there, and that upsets the car, but somehow able to keep his momentum up and doesn't lose too much time. Yep, as they head down into turn 1 again, and Trengrade a lot closer under braking now into turn 1. So yeah, I'm surprised that I wouldn't be surprised if Trengrade got an off track for that, or a slow. Well, I was going to say slow down, but it looks like they didn't take all of the exit on the grass, so he probably got away with it.
Yeah, that's something that you really have to manage. Those slowdown penalties for cutting corners can be very detrimental. They can maybe at times seem like overkill, but man, these guys just using every inch of track that is out there. This is back up front. There you see Olenek going through this high banked section, going low for some lap traffic there, and cleanly following through is Courtney. The lead was 6/10 a couple of laps ago, now down to just over 2/10, and they're closing up very quickly here, going through the bus stop chicane once again. This is where we saw some trouble lap ago, but this time Courtney just keeps it pointed the right direction, and he is right there behind Olenek.
Yep, absolutely. Courtney close again, and if I was Toppy, I would have tucked into the slipstream a little longer, and it looks like he's got the run and all in it. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the move, but he decides against it.
Thinking better of making that move there. It would have been ambitious. There wasn't a lot of room on the inside, but able to just keep the car planted under him, going through turn number 1 now into the International Horseshoe, and these guys are battling very hard the entire race. The gap to third position now is back up over 6.5 seconds, so these front two, unless something happens these last 3 laps, have got this one, the podium locked up for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, and these two are still going at it as well, and they've got a back marker up ahead, but they should be able to get by it before the bus stop or after the bus stop, so hopefully they don't get held up too much as actually the back marker pulls onto the grass. Rather gentlemanly, you could say.
Yeah, it's a very interesting place for cars to have to deal with lap traffic, because you want to use all of the banking. Typically the lap cars will stay high to let the leaders through, but when you need to use all the banking, go all the way back up to the top of the racetrack, as there's a car slow down the backstretch as well. But man, these guys are not letting each other out of their sights. They're just fighting very, very hard still, with just a handful of laps to go.
There's a ride on board with Courtney at the moment, heading down to the start-finish line again, and he's a lot. He pulls out from the slipstream. Interestingly, he's actually lifting as well. So I think Toppy Courtney is doing what I suggested before. I think he's waiting until the final lap, and then he's going to pounce.
Huge wreck just a moment ago from Benoit Langvin, going upside down at one point, but took the tow back to the garage, as Ove Trengrade and Mick Claridge still battling for the last step on the podium here at Daytona. Going on board with Mick Claridge, right behind Trengrade. He's got some work to do. He has a little bit of time to do it, but he is running out if he wants to get that third and final step of the podium. Their back marker does go wide. That's the 18, and wow, that's Andrew Ang unfortunately losing control there. Man, you do everything you can just to stay out of these guys' way, and you end up putting yourself in a dangerous spot like that.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for Andrew. He just clipped the grass on the outside, and they just spun. But both clipped. Sorry, I was going to say both leaders. Third and fourth place are going at it, and it looks like Claridge has got the run in Trengrade. But again, I think he's doing what Courtney done, and he's just backing off.
Yeah, it reminds me of the drafting battle that we saw last week at Monza, where one car would have the advantage, and whoever was sitting in second would just wait and wait and wait, and at the very last moment make that move for the position. But at the moment, it's still Olenek leading Courtney, then Trengrade leading Claridge. This is looking back up front, going into turn number 1 for the final time. Here comes Olenek with Courtney right on his gearbox.
Yeah, but I think as Rob runs wide, I think Rob Olenek starting to feel the pressure now, and I was going to say I think Toppy's going to make a move onto that bank and heading onto the back straight, and or maybe even make a move on the exit of the bus stop.
There's not many passing opportunities left to get it done under braking. It's going to have to come down to a drafting battle here, and see if Olenek can just hold off Courtney for the last couple of corners as they get set to enter the oval turn 1 and 2 portion of this track for the final time.
Yeah, as they're heading down the round the bank and heading down to the bus stops again. And I think Toppy's not close enough, but if he can get the exit, if he can get a good exit on the exit of the bus stop, I think he might be able to draft his slipstream his way by Rob on the heading up to the start finish line. Oh, he's got a decent exit, so it's going to be relatively close. I think as Toppy Quartanemi pulls out for the slipstream, and I think he's planned this. I think he's going to wait until the start finish line until they come round, and yeah, he's going to do that.
He's gonna have to see if he can get the move done. He's got all the momentum there on the high side, but at the line, who's it gonna be? It's Toppy. Incredible battle between the two of them, and Mick Claridge has gotten around Ove Trengrade, but who's gonna have it at the line? There you see Claridge out in front now across the stripe. Wow, that was close. That was 6/1000ths of a second there. Claridge just barely eked the position from Trengrade at the end. Looking back at the finish once again, this is Courtney just sitting and waiting, planning, and getting the move done. You see him getting up onto the banking just a little bit higher, trying to get some of that run off of the hill. And now you see tucking into the slipstream off of turn number 4 to the stripe. Not sitting in the slipstream for very long, but keeping the momentum up was Courtney, and at the line by less than half a tenth of a second, Topi Courtney edges out Rob Olenek, and that was an incredible battle. We'll take a step aside for just a matter of moments and be back with a full field rundown and a couple of interviews, so don't go anywhere. Here from the Grand Prix Legends at Daytona here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Back to Daytona, and we had an incredible show with an incredible couple of battles at the end for position, and the podium decided by less than half of a tenth. It was just incredible, and there you see Topi Courtney getting the win by 0.045 over Rob Olenek, and then Mick Claridge by 6/1000ths over Ove Trengrade for the third position. Then Phil Tyler came in fifth. Colin Bentley and Gary Teal, 6th and 7th. Then Chris Murakami and John Olsen, followed by Pecco Risto, wrapping up the top 10.
Finishing in 11th was Emmanuel Pereira with Robert Blumley in 12th. 13th was Hideki Visto with 14th going to Andreas Bruno after starting 21st. Finishing 15th was Donald Peake with 16th going to Dave Cohen. 17th and the one first of the runners 1 lap down was Angry M with Eugenio Massa in 18th. 19th was Douglas Nelson, and rounding out the 20 was Jerry Macarive.
And Gwendolyn Old finished 21st, involved in some contact towards the end of the race. Then lost Olsen, Gary Anderson, Robert Reynolds. You can see the rest of the finishers there on your screen. But we are joined now in the booth by Topi Kortniemi. And Topi, what an incredible battle! You timed that one out perfectly.
Yeah, I was planning that all along in the first few laps. I tried to battle with Rob a little, but I figure it doesn't make sense. Like it's gonna be the last straight anyway, and Mick was catching us, I think, a little, and maybe 2 seconds off the draft. So I played for that all along for the last few laps.
Yeah, these first 2 weeks, I've seen some stellar performances and some incredible battles between yourself and Rob and Mick. Just kind of talk about, what it's like racing these same guys week in and week out and facing some very stiff competition throughout the entire season.
I don't know, the laps that guys bought during the week, like Mick and Rob, and they really make you practice. I thought I was having a good set and a good pace, and then on Thursday race I was 1 second off pace, and I had to rethink everything, and got my setup working this morning, and worked very well. But racing with these guys, you kind of know what they do, and you can trust that they don't crash you or punch you or anything silly stuff like that. Like we had some lap traffic whose name was unfamiliar to me, so I was double cautious passing them because I didn't know what would they do and so on. But with the top guys and the other regulars, you know they're going to do the right thing and nothing silly.
Well, it's been a fun couple of weeks to start this season. I know we're going to ask you this week after week, seeing you here in the booth, but who do you have to thank this week?
Who do I have to thank this week? I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know. Nice Finnish weather.
Well, there you go, man. Hey, it was a fantastic race for you, and congratulations on the win, because it was definitely an exciting one to watch, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Oh, thanks.
That's Topi Kortniemi, your winner here at Daytona. Now it looks like, Ryan, you've caught up with our second place finisher, Rob Olenek.
I have indeed, and Rob is in the thick of it with Topi Kortniemi for most of that race, putting on a fantastic display of driving between both of them. And Rob, that was a fantastic battle between you and Torpy in the closing stages for the win.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. It was actually, I had a plan for the final lap, and I was hoping there would be more than me and Topi, because the dynamic was kind of not working in my favor, because he, coming onto the oval, he didn't get as good of an exit as I did there, and it sort of created a gap, and I kind of wanted to sort of make something happen or make some confusion happen before the bus stop, because he was a little better than me through the bus stop. But then, I was a little too far ahead to play any really stupid games and hold up and wait. And I think that makes racing look stupid when you play games like that. So I just tried to come through there as fast as I could, and I didn't quite hit it right. And it was still really close. And congrats to Topi. That's his first broadcast win in the 49. And he deserves it. You would think he would have had one by now. He's definitely right up in pace with everybody else at the top.
Yeah, talking of Topi as well, and we saw that he said himself that he done it deliberately to kind of just back off when he got a run on you, and planned it. What was your thinking, or what was your strategy with regards to the closing stages in that battle for the win, were you trying to stay in front of him, or were you thinking if he gets a run of me and goes by me, I'll just stay in behind and wait until the last lap to make a move? What was your thinking?
My thinking was I didn't want it to be Topi right behind me, because I just knew that like he wasn't going to get a good exit there, and I knew he was going to hold back, and I was just hoping that I got an even better exit than normal, and maybe his was a little worse, and I could just have enough gap, because there was going to be no attempts at side by side through the bus stop or nothing like that was going to happen. Though, just the way we were stronger. You know, he was stronger than me through the bus stop too. So, just the way it worked out there wasn't in my favor. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't see the finish yet, but I'm guessing it was really close. So it would. I still had a shot. I mean, he had to actually do really well through the bus stop to make that happen, and kind of time the pass just right, which he did perfectly.
And looking ahead to Motorsport next week, what's your aims again? Just try and go for the win again, and or is it just basically just the same as usual, try and go for the win, or just finish on the podium at least?
I'm definitely gonna try and win it. I feel like I'm probably feeling better in the car than I ever have, and I really think that if I'm driving well, I have a shot at winning it any week. And I'm not looking at, say, like the championship, but I think I got a really good shot at winning a race every single week.
Good stuff. And before we let you go, Rob, quickly, anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
You guys, first of all. I like you guys. Who was the other? I haven't watched anything back. Who was the other broadcaster on with you, Ryan?
Chad Irvine.
Chad Irvine. Okay, I'm not familiar with you, but hi, Chad.
Hey, Rob.
Well, you, Ryan, I think you're spectacular, and I hope you guys continue to cover our races, and maybe GSRC will listen and not mix it up so much, because I think that you and a couple of the other guys, Double Scotch. I'm so bad with names, so it's don't feel bad if I don't remember yours. It's amazing I remembered yours, Ryan. But I just think you guys, you put in the time. I think you just actually like old classic vintage race cars, and it's worth your time to actually like know about the stuff. And it's so awesome watching the broadcast backs with all these little tidbits of stuff. Like I actually learned stuff watching it back. And I hope you guys just keep doing it. I really love watching it when you guys do. So I would thank you guys, same Dirty Torque, the team I race for, and everyone in the in the 49 community. But thanks a lot, guys.
Well, congratulations on the second place finish, and we will see you next weekend. But we got one more interview here, and Mick, you barely finished in front of Ove for that final step of the podium.
That was such a fun last lap. I love that. He did as well, we was both chatting afterwards, It was, I don't know if you saw much of it, but we was really holding back, None of us wanted to lead into the bus stop. And it just, every time that happens, it only happens either here or Monza, it just makes me laugh, because I just sort of think it's just pure mind games. So we was like, I don't know, I think we was about 30 or 40 mile an hour too slow through the bus stop, And then there's always a point, if you're the lead car, there's always a point that if you are in front, but you are going that slow, you can gun it and you can just get a gap, before the guy behind realises what's happening. I'm not sure that really happened today because you see how close it was over the line. But yeah, that was the plan anyway.
Yeah, 6 1,000ths at the line. It was so much fun to watch between the two of you. It was a fun battle the entire race, but you mentioned, Monza last week and Daytona this week. Next week, not so much of a draft track. We go to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and it's a very different track to anything we've seen so far this season.
Oh, mate, I just wanted to get these 2 weeks out of the way, really. I was a bit gutted about Monza last week, finishing third there. I could have fought for the win, but I didn't really think I was that quick today. Not too bad over one lap, but the car sort of seemed to die in the middle of the stint. God knows why. But I did sort of keep an eye on the F3 as we were running there, and I just thought, I wonder if I can sort of nick a 10th here and there in the infield. And it sort of seemed to be the case. I don't know how hard the guys were pushing in the infield, but I was sort of thinking, you sort of feed off of anything. So I was thinking, right, okay, so road courses, I've still got some pace. so I was like trying to feed off of that a bit, So hopefully it'll pay off next week. Motorsports a good track for me. I like that place. And all the rest, I just had a quick look at the schedule really right now. And I can only see one smelly track for me, really, Barcelona. I'm horrendous there. You probably just about see me in the top 10, I think, there. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, and 6 1,000ths was the gap between you and Ove. Is that is that one of the closest finishes you've had?
Oh yeah, and it's funny because Ove goes back a long way in this series. So to have a last lap battle with him like that is just so rare. Because he never practiced in practice. He came in as the session opened for the race. That's all he's done, 25 minutes. And, and then you can sort of see him learning the track as he goes, and then he's on pace by the end of it. And that's what he's like, he's always been like that. And so having a good last lap battle with him was brilliant, It's a shame we couldn't. I was actually thinking of saying to him on the mic, come on, let's work together. We can probably catch them, maybe, if they get a bit stuffed up here and there, because it got down to 4 seconds at one point. And I was thinking, maybe, but I think sort of Ove was still sort of learning the track at that point. So I was pulling a gap on him in the infield a bit. So, but yeah, not at the end. I knew I wouldn't be leading into the bus stop. Well, I wouldn't be wanting to lead in the last lap, put it that way, because he was up to pace by then. So yeah, good fun though.
Yeah, it was an incredible, fun battle to watch for sure. To wrap things up here, who do you have to thank? Any shout outs for you?
There's 3 guys, the McKenzie boys. Never, Chad, I don't know if you know, never mess with the McKenzie boys.
I'm being told by our producer as well, yes, never mess with the McKenzie boys. So I've been put on notice. I will keep my out.
Mate, it's worth saying again.
Don't mess with the McKenzie boys. Well, hey, congratulations on your podium this week, and we'll see you at Motorsport next week.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
That's declared your 3rd place finisher here at Daytona. And Ryan, it was an incredible battle from start to finish. And man, what a show these guys put on.
Yeah, absolutely. I had that battle for the win and also that battle for the final step on the podium. But the racing overall in the field, throughout the whole field, is absolutely fantastic. And I think Motorsport next week is going to be rather interesting with its tight nature of the track.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch for sure. You can catch that broadcast at the same time next Saturday. Grand Prix Legends always puts on a fantastic show. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. With additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the entire squad today, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. I'm Chad Irvine. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. The link is in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube as well, so you don't miss a moment of the action all week long here on GSRC. We also have some upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.